Okay. Evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for our focused area meeting for Manawatu West Coast. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Lizzie Turnbull, the Chief Executive of New Zealand Pony Club, a role that I've been in for just coming up 2 years. Prior to that, I've had Pony Club myself as a youngster, and then I've had various roles as a mum in my local Pony Club branch as a president, then DC and on the area committee. Left Pony Club because my child left Pony Club, then she came back, then she left, and she's come back again, and have been with the organisation in this role for 2 years. I'm no longer associated with any pony clubs or any membership. Joining me tonight, I've got Kelly and Dina. So if they'd like from the board.
Hi everyone. Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm from Central Otago. I'm currently head coach at my branch, and I've been doing that role for a number of years. And I've got 2 young riders. One's just done their D certificate and one's just about to do their C certificate. So yeah, and I'm also on an area show jumping committee as well as being involved in our club also.
And my background's been in Pony Club. I grew up through the system, and then my daughter then started riding in the system, and at that stage I got to go on to the committee of the local branch and then ended up as DC. That role has now ended, and yeah, I've taken up my position on the board and absolutely loving it. So be cool to meet you all in person at conference.
Excellent. I've been lucky to meet many of them at Champs Week when they hosted, so they did an amazing job. So thank you once again for that. I'm going to share my screen. This week I did travel with an extra screen, Kelly and Dina. You can all see the blue screen, can you? Blue screen?
No, black at the moment.
It's black. Of course it is, because it's now like a nice rainstorm here, isn't it?
Yes.
Come on. Oh yeah, it's working. It's just thinking. Oh, and we've gone far too far. Okay. So thanks everyone for joining us tonight and looking with us tonight on our sessions. So our purpose for our sessions is to recap the proposal that's been put in front of you of making Pony Club a 3-layer system organisation alongside updating the current constitution. It's about what your area would look like under the proposal of a 3-layer system versus a 3 to 4 layer organisation that we've got today. We'll also be sharing the process and the timeline if the change to a structure was voted on by our membership at our national AGM, and we'd also be sharing the process and the timeline for updating the constitution as per the Incorporated Society. So that's a little bit of what's on tonight. I want to reiterate with you all that we are in a consultation phase. We're wanting feedback from all our members. So not just from our clubs, not just from our areas, not just from our branches, but from all our members, and it's invited and actually really needed. The feedback deadline is the end of May, beginning of June. Definitely needed by the 4th of June because we have a board meeting on that day, and I'll go into that reasoning for that soon. All the feedback that you share is going to help shape the final version of the Constitution, and it's also going to shape the direction of Pony Club. A lot of things have been coming out of this about clarity, about roles, about rules. So it's not just been talking about the structure of Pony Club. We've been getting a whole bunch of really amazing ideas from you guys who are so important because you're our volunteers. So it will shape the final version of the Constitution, though, that we do. And the final vote of our Constitution is in August at our national AGM. I've got the tiniest table at this place. The goal of these
Yeah,
meetings is to move beyond an abstract idea. So we understand that it was quite an abstract idea that was put out to our areas in February at our area forum. We'd been having conversations prior to that, and the purpose of these sessions is to show what a proposed structural review could do with the layers of Pony Club. And why we've done it alongside the organisation is because when we're constitution, we have to update the constitution. The Incorporated Societies Act of 2022 meant that all constitutions of incorporated societies must be reviewed. So alongside that, it's a massive body of work to update a constitution. So it was thought, why don't we propose the structure rechange? Now, if people don't want the structure rechange, then the constitution that you're presented will be based on the current system of layers. So we knew it was rather conceptual. So Kelly and I, when we were working on our first webinars, we worked together. We decided that we needed to show some examples. So this session is really designed to show you what it could look like, what your day-to-day operation questions could be, your decision-making authorities like voting rights at like AGMs, your event coordination and delivery, communication lines, and how we, NZPCA, would be supporting our members and volunteers through that process. So if there are any questions at any time, please do either raise your hand in the function or put your hand up and Kelly and Dina will see it. So anything to add there, Kelly or Dina?
No, I don't think so. Well, it is obviously quite tricky because what every area in the clubs and those areas want is completely different. No kind of area in New Zealand kind of wants the same thing. So we're trying to tailor this constitution to be able to fit into having a flexible approach for each area to be able to achieve what each area really wants to achieve as such.
Yeah, and I must reiterate that no one area in your constitution meeting number 13, I think, out of the 15 areas, and not one area operates in the same way or manner or is structured the same way because of their location and their clubs and their branches. So that is one noticing that we've seen. But what we have noticed is you're all passionate about Pony Club. You're all passionate about your why and your rationale of being here, and that is so heartwarming that we're here for that purpose. Okay, I'll give this slide to you, Kelly.
Okay, so constitution review. It obviously had to be done the last actual act update. Well, the existing act we were all operating under was 1904, so it was long overdue to be updated. Like really a constitution, what it actually does for us and for everyone on the ground, it lays out the purpose and powers of New Zealand Pony Club. The purposes are laid out in every layer of the constitution. We're a youth organisation focused on education, horse welfare, horse and pony welfare is key. A lot of that will be repeated in every single layer, regardless of what the layers are. Also, a constitution is really important because it actually outlines how we put people into positions, how we have membership, and how those members vote. So yeah, the whole function of the constitution is actually a really important document. Alongside of it, we obviously have our general regulations, which we can tailor or we can change, year on year, to cater for events or rules and regulations that may be better representative as we kind of go on and go through these events as such. So for example, obviously eventing, we're looking at eventing, Champs Weeks regulations and rules and things like that. And that was a big review that we talked about last year that we would undertake. So yeah, one of the key things about this constitution is it's a draft and it's for discussion. It's not the final version. We need your input and we kind of need it now. Yeah, that's really important. We just want feedback from everyone, individuals. You don't have to be a committee member. Just just get your feedback in, basically. Yeah.
Excellent. So, as Kelly said, it's not that final version. We've been asked, so for us, what does success look like in Pony Club for us? So, what are we striving for? And it doesn't matter how many layers of the Constitution we have, but success looks for us as Pony Club is thriving. And I must say right now that Pony Club in New Zealand is doing really well. We do have a cycle, so sometimes areas and clubs have a dip in their numbers, but then it rises again. So we've been pretty steady in the last few years. Also, Pony Club is successful to us when there are more or the same amount of kids going through rallies, going through their certificates, going to events and achieving. Success is also when committees like you guys serve on are full and there are volunteers. So that is what success looks for us, and kids are having fun. So and clubs and branches are functioning. So that's always at our center of our why. Why are we here? Why are we doing this? Let's move this next slide. So right now you've got the key timeline. So we've been asked why have we been so slow at this? We actually got under Sports NZ. We're a Sports NZ organisation, so we get some funding from them. We got our template in October, November, and we are working alongside them. We use their legal team versus our own legal team. And we started drafting it. The board started drafting it straight away. In November, we had a massive meeting and discussed this concept. This concept just didn't come out of the blue. It came back from 2010, 2011, and the last lot of consultation with the last Incorporated Society big changes, where then Anne Atkins and Nikki Williams from the board and the president went around the country, but they also were talking about the committee of management, the old form of what New Zealand Pony Club had, moving to a board of 5 elected and 2 appointed members. They decided at the time they were looking at taking out the club layer, that they would park it and come back to it. And we've been constantly asked by people, when are you coming back? So this is the perfect time to put it out there and go, hey, is this something that our membership wants? If the membership doesn't want it, it won't happen. So we really need your feedback. So we're just beginning the discussions on the 3 layers and what would it look like. After this meeting, we ask you, as soon as you possibly can, every single one of you, not collectively as a club, not collectively as a branch, all your independent member voice, to fill in our survey and tell us what you want as in the structural layer, because that is going to be discussed at our 5th of June board meeting. And it will be, if the membership does support a 3-layer change across the whole organisation, that is what the constitution that you are presented will look like. If the membership wants to remain with the current 3 or 4-layer system, that is the constitution you will be presented to vote on. In July, the board on the 1st and 2nd of July, 1st or 2nd, must get you the proposed constitution, because it has to be with you, because it's voted on at the AGM 30 days before the AGM. And that is where you, as your branches, will inform your clubs how they will vote on your behalf at the AGM, and how the clubs will inform the area how they will use their one vote at the AGM. That is not an SGM, that's just a normal standard monthly meeting motion. And then of course on the 3rd of August, it's a vote. If your club is not there, you can electronic vote. There is no such thing as proxy voting. We're encouraging you to all come to conference. There's some really amazing workshops being planned, really practical workshops in the whole area of Pony Club. But if you can't be there, we need you to electronic vote. Have your say. If the Constitution is voted in, which we're hoping it will be, whichever one we're presenting, that's why we need the feedback, it will immediately go to the incorporated societies to be approved at that national layer. In the background, in July also, our team, Todd, who's leading it from the board, will start drafting the next layers under that constitution. So if it's a 4-layer constitution, currently like it is, he'll draft the areas, the clubs, the branches. If it's not, he'll draft the national, administrative layer, club layer. So that's why that feedback, I can't reiterate that enough. If we're going for a 3-layer structure at conference, there'll be lots of workshops about what does your Pony Club area look like, because as Kelly said, we're all so different. And in September, we'd be finalising those. If it's the 4-layer structure, we'd just be continuing on as normal. Some clubs have already indicated that they'll merge and they'll do that anyway, but that's always been an option, merging, closing. It's always been an option, and we'd be having SGMs in October through to March to approve your new constitution. The constitution must be checked by New Zealand Pony Club, because only things in the constitution can be approved by the board. Currently, the thing that you'd be probably the most aware of is quorum reductions. When a quorum is 7 and we often get, can we reduce it to 5, and the board has to approve that. The one thing that's probably would be likely would be that in the new incorporated societies, it's 10 members. Currently, it's 15 members, of which 8 have to be adults, inferred that 7 are meant to be youth, but it's not stated, so it's not breaking any rules. It might be 10 members and you might have 8. We probably can't get away with that, but we could get away with the number of children youth ratio. So that would be in March, or as soon as you've approved it, and then it goes to the incorporated societies, just like that. April will be here. If we were changing to a 3-layer system, it's been proposed to have a nationwide Gypsy Day where everyone changed. So that's the timeline. Any questions on the timeline? But as I said, the most important thing is your feedback. Okay, let's carry on. So currently in Pony Club, we have a 3 to 4 layer structure. So we've got New Zealand Pony Club at the top, and we've got our areas, and then underneath we've got 2 layers. We've either got clubs that have branches underneath them, or we have clubs without branches. And we've got 2 examples on the side there. In your area, you've got 3 clubs with branches, and you've got 1 club without branches. So we've got a mixture in your area. 15 areas in New Zealand make up New Zealand Pony Club. I can't get over the map. Every time I see it, it's just so different geographically and location-wise. When you look at Otago, Southland, taking in Stewart Island, no Pony Club there though. And there you are up there in Manawatu, West Coast. Right, so some of the questions that we've had along the way with this, and it doesn't matter what structure you've got, will your club lose your identity? We don't believe that any club needs to lose its identity if it ever merges or it merges with another club. And I know that in your area, you've got Wanganui Petrie. Is there anyone here from Wanganui Petrie?
There is. Neither's in there. I think they're having an AGM, and I think they're trying to watch as well.
Okay, so they've when they merged, they kept both names. Louise gave me that information, so thanks, Louise. So it's not about losing identity. If you wanted to change your name, like Northland, when they had Kaitaia and Awakino, was that
Awanui.
right?
Awanui, is it?
Awanui, gosh,
Awanui.
Awanui. When they both decided to merge, they merged and made a new name of Monganui, but they both have venues at both locations. They've got their council was like, yeah, keep the locations. Every council in New Zealand is also different. Is it about closing clubs? Definitely not. We haven't ever gone through and gone, you must close, you must close. We have, I do send out emails and go, hey, I'm noticing that your numbers are getting small. What's happening? How are you going? And if people reply, it's great. When people don't reply and you never get any action, you feel like a bit being a bit like you're being ghosted. But it's definitely not about closing our clubs. It's also not about reducing events. It's always about focusing on where the rider goes and has their rally at their pony club, pony branch. But I've never heard anyone say I'm going to pony branch today. But it's where they spend the majority of the time, and that's what we're really focusing on, and really about improving our support as a national office, but also the consistency around the country and what's offered. What happens with your assets? And this is a question that always is the same no matter what. When clubs merge, your assets stay together. When clubs close, their assets stay within the area. One thing is about assets, and many people don't know this, it has to stay in Pony Club. So we can't give our Pony Club assets to the cat shelter or the SPCA or unfortunately the Westpac helicopter, because those assets, monetary and assets as in gear, have been accumulation of membership funds over the years. So the assets must retain within the area. You get a really big say of where your assets goes. It's approved by the board, but we like to see your assets stay within your area and your clubs and staying local. Of course, always you can host events. Absolutely. There's been a lot of questions of what's happening with our events. We are adamant that our national events will always remain. But to stay relevant and to stay viable, we must constantly review our events. You'll all remember Pony Club Champs of old, where you had to have a pre-trial to trial in some cases. Not me, I came from the King Country. I was pretty lucky. But we're always looking at the ability for events, and we always want to remove barriers. So if the rider has got their NQS, our belief is send them, let them go to events, let that be the pinnacle potentially of their career. Why now? It's time with the Incorporated Society, and as I said, the last review was in 2011, and we're like, why not? Because people kept on saying to us, when are you going to review that, basically? And exit surveys told us that people were tired. Our last year's annual review survey told us that we had too many layers and volunteers were burnt out. So we thought, why not? Let's go out to our membership. Worst case scenario, we've engaged with 15 areas, and over that time, we would have at least had, probably by the end of this, 400 people on these meetings. So better than any other engagement. And as we said, this is consultation. Yeah. Any questions so far? Okay. So I think the next slide, and this is particularly when this could be thought about at any time, but we've had this question. Are the area boundaries still what they need to be today? We are aware that when the boundaries were made, roading was different. We were often more rural. So we've had those questions about are they what they need to be today. Really radically, we know that King Country is really little, but a group of people have come to us and said, King Country is really little. Taupō's actually in the Waikato, as in councils. Why don't you look at a central plateau with King Country, Taupō and Tokoroa? Why don't you change the area? And it's like, why not? If they're interested, they can bring it to us as a proposal. Is my branch or club youth focused? And is it providing for the purpose of Pony Club? That is definitely a big focus because we're getting sports funding for youth, for our under 25. And we do need you guys as our volunteers, of course, but it's a youth focused club. It's meant to be about education. So we'll go to that in a second. Does my branch or club have enough members to operate? And then, is my branch or club in the right area? So it's not about we're going to move the area boundaries, but is it actually in the right area? Key example that in Auckland, Papatoetoe is at the start of one road. 5Ks down the road is the next pony club, I think it's Ardmore, and it's in Franklin Thames Valley. So same road, 5 minutes away, different areas. So it's those conversations of, you know, is Ardmore an Auckland club or is it a Franklin Thames Valley club? So really great time. That can happen anytime. So if my club, Katikati, wanted to move to Franklin Thames Valley, being at the bottom of the Coromandel, they could have those conversations with us anytime. But it's bringing it to the fact that you can do that. So as Kelly said before, the purpose of Pony Club will be in all constitutions. And I think it's really important that it's there because it's that national body for our youth as an amateur sport, for our young people to develop their education in horse riding. It's about the qualifications and training of our members, our coaches and our examiners. It's about our certificate system. It's about our horse welfare. It is about events as well. So there are our purposes. I'll give you a few moments if you want to read through those. After this meeting, you will get the recording link tomorrow maybe, or and you will also get the slides. So when we've been talking about our 3 layers, these are the 3 layers that we've seen. We've got the national layer, which is remains the same, setting the visions and the values and the strategy for Pony Club. It's about the consistency and the standards. It's the national competitions, those partnerships, and maintaining our policies and framework, especially around safety, education, and certificate pathways. Now, last week we actually had an amazing South Island Coaches Conference, and on Friday we had a national and association coaches meeting. Kelly was there, Louise was there, and the whole topic is about the consistency, about the standards, about the syllabus. Really great to see. Then we've got the bottom layer there, that's we're proposing is the club layer, where the rider spends most of their time. It's where they go and they have their rallies, they receive instruction, they work towards their certificates, their events, and they build the community. And the clubs would be focusing on that regular rallies, coaching, and developing safe and capable riders, volunteers, and horses and ponies. With a 3-layer structure, you know, this is currently the structure that your area often plays, merged in with a bit of a club layer if you're a branch, and that's the purpose is the governance and the oversight. So it's an intermediary between the clubs and national body, not the national body. But saying that, any of you are welcome to come to the national office, email us at any time. You do not have to go through your club and your area to get an answer. You can just come straight to us. We're there for that. It's about that development and support and that extension of the rider beyond the pony club, the club environment. So those area champs, the training camps, the talent pathways, and those inter-club events. It's also about resource sharing. Sometimes it's about coordinating those funding applications and the ownership if you've got any shared resources. And it's also where you have that best practice being shared and that operational knowledge to strengthen the clubs. So that's what we see as the layers of Pony Club under a 3-layer system. So getting to the fun part, this is you guys. So in here, Let me know if there's any spelling mistakes, please. Apologies if there are. These are your figures in your annual figures for this year. So these are the figures that will go in the annual report, and these were collected in March. So you can see there the numbers of under 25s, your adults, any horse masters, and your totals there, and how you're currently structured. So 4 clubs, 3 with branches. And I have to say, I have had fielded some questions from your area about, are we in the right area? Are we where we're meant to be? But that actually happens in every area meeting so far. Okay, so these are just examples only. That's why it's got a big orange examples only for ideas to ponder. So if we were saying that you were to become a 3-layer organisation and you decided collectively to retain your area, these are some scenarios that would make you a 3-layer organisation. In this model here, all of the branches have become clubs in their own right, absorbing the club level. So as you can see there, I haven't got Horowhenua's name, Manawatu's name, Rangatiki's name. You're all the branches have come up to that club level. I'm not saying this is the way it has to look. This is just an example of some of the modelling that could happen. We'll move straight on, then we'll come back and chat. In this layer, it's exactly the same, but instead, once again, just an example only, with some merging and mixing of clubs. Some of the clubs are staying, some of the branches have merged up into clubs, and we've got venues. Now, we don't know what your councils allow you to do, but we do know in the likes of Otago Southland, one of the clubs, Kelly, is it South Otago? Yes, South Otago. South Otago was a district. It had 3 clubs underneath it. They all merged already up into becoming South Otago Club, but they have 3 venues at Clutha, Clinton, and Owaka, and they maintain those 3 venues, 3 rallies at different places. But they've got private arrangements or councils that are supportive, and we don't know what happens in your area. So this is just an example here that some of the branches have merged up into their club and have multiple venues. And I only did this, I don't know your locations, I don't know how close you are. This is an example only. So that would be potentially an idea, plus other ideas if you wanted to retain that Manawatu West Coast area. I like on the concept of this that, you know, the Manawatu West Coast area now has more than 4 clubs to get its delegates from. So more of a pool for resources at the area level maybe. Some of the other examples would be, oops, too fast, where that the clubs become a cluster hub level and the area has now dissolved into the lower level behind. But that means that Horowhenua, Manawatu and Rangatiki, or north, south, east, west, whatever you want to call it, would be taking that administrative layer, but then the clubs are underneath the current branches are underneath that. So that is where the area is no longer, the area has been split. In this model, your riders would still be riding under the regional Manawatu West Coast colours, but they would be coming from Horowhenua, Manawatu and Rangatiki. But this model would also be along the lines that everyone that is qualified for an event would go to the event and ride, and the results would be based, your team results would be based on people's results at that time at that event. So are there any questions? I'll go back to this page, the first page. No questions. Wow.
I'll start off with, hey Lizzie, neat to hear. I wanted to shout out earlier, but I was multitasking with the other meeting. The Whanganui Petrie, I mean, yeah, there's still that identity, even though we merged, hence why we keep Petrie. They're very proud of keeping that rather than just calling themselves Whanganui. It's good. Yeah, the whole layer thing sounds good. Waiting to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
There's my feedback, guys. I've broken the ice.
Thank you, Netta. So, interesting enough, Netta actually comes from Katikati and lives down the. Her parents live down the road from where I am. So, thanks, Netta.
Cheerio. Yep. Proud Katikati and Manawatu West Coast now.
Very solid. So, like Manawatu, we said that we are happy for Manawatu to disappear as a layer. Have Horowhenua and Rangatiki had that discussion, just out of interest?
Not specifically. At Rangatiki at our AGM, when we talked about this, we kind of saw it as a bit of a like a bit of a merging of the area with the club, like the existing club thing. And we sort of talked about the opportunity of still retaining those Rangatiki colours for team competitions and stuff like that. But we haven't really thought about which, like, yeah, what layer.
Because what kind of happens with the likes, and I'll use Bruce Forbes as an example, where that's a club competition. So then what happens? Say we take out that current club layer. If the competition continues to be, clubs, then you're still having to get together as different clubs and choose a team. And same when you're saying we're going to, at the higher level, ride under Manawatu West Coast colours. Well, that still requires a Manawatu West Coast layer, doesn't it? So how does that kind of?
So I'll go to the area first. So currently, if you retain your area, you've still got your area. But if you went to like this model here and you're within hubs, you'd be thinking like we do with ESNZ competitions. I know we're not ESNZ, but my location is the Bay of Plenty. So when I'm riding, I'm riding for the Bay of Plenty in that position. But I basically, if I've got my NQS, I can go to the event because I've got my NQS. So removing those barriers. So that
there's no like it then doesn't become a selection for a team kind of thing. You just, if you qualify, you go.
Your area would, or someone like, so the Horowhenua DC or president or whatever it is, or the area president would have to sign them off and say yes, they've got their NQSs. But we've got to think differently for our events. If we continue to only think about teams events, we won't be having events because riders won't be going. So we're constantly reviewing about getting riders to the events. So we have to question how many times have we had full teams to go to an event, and is it about getting riders there or is it about the traditional team? That's been a big question and a big reflection, and I guess that's what we need feedback on as well. Also, for these events, I know that Bruce Forbes is run under the New Zealand Pony Club rules and system, but these events like Springston, like South Island Show Jumping, because they have guardians at their events, I realise that they'd have to evolve as well, and we have little say on how we have no say on how Bruce Forbes, Timberlands, South Island Show Jumping, your Manawatu Show Hunter works. But we'd hope that if there was a structural change, we could have those conversations as well. But remember, this is not events regulations, but it does affect how events would run. We realise that it's more about the overarching layers of Pony Club. So I don't know if I've answered that enough for you.
Yeah, no, explaining that the events like Timberlands, Bruceport sit outside. Actually, I thought it was all directed from a pony club level, but if they're
Yeah, I think
introducing themselves,
we've-
then yeah, that's a discussion that they need to have, how the teams are actually going to look
Yeah.
going forward.
And
Yep.
I did have a
And that-
discussion with someone today about this. I did chat to our legal person, and actually under the general regulations as it's currently are, I didn't realise we could actually come in and go to you. No, we don't to any event and go. Actually, you're running it under New Zealand Pony Club, and be a bit forceful and say you need to change the rules. We've never done that. We never want to do that. But it was just interesting to have that conversation going, okay, you need to look at your rules. You need to do your changing of your rules. We do have to say we often get events that have rules outside of Pony Club rules, and they'll come to us and go, well, this is a rule. Everyone needs to wear, let's take purple jodhpurs. And it's like, and someone's complained, it's like, no, that can't be a rule. Purple jodhpurs is not a rule of Pony Club. So we often get those kind of conversations, or, oh no, we've said they've got to have 10 rallies on that horse, and it's like, no. So we do have those conversations already. They're really interesting. Yeah.
And just on that, Sprinxton Trophy and South Island Show Jumping Champs are all branch teams predominantly. They're not club teams. They're
South Island
predominantly
is really
branch.
different. Really different.
And going on,
like,
sorry.
Yeah.
Show Hunter, like Taranaki, they are clubs, so they come to Show Hunter, and if they don't have enough, we just try to put them with their own like neighbouring club.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we already do that, and we
Yeah.
have been like in the events. Well, we've had discussions about how it would need to merge and what it might look like
Yeah.
as a Show Hunter committee.
Yeah, and we understand that, because I think that thing is I was having a great conversation with one of our older members at Pony Club Champs, and he said to me, oh, you don't do it the way it was done in 87. I was like there in 87. I was like, but if we did it the same way as we did in 87, we wouldn't actually have eventing champs anymore, because it's not 1987 anymore. And I'm not saying that's a great thing or a positive or a negative, but we need to remove those barriers to get the riders there, because at those levels, it doesn't matter if it's the area gymkhana or the Pony Club gymkhana or going to Foxton. I know that was my daughter's highlight for many years. It's about getting the riders there and actually giving them the experience and really removing that barrier. And with eventing champs, I must say, every area is completely different how it selects and supports its teams. I've got areas that charge riders to be part of the team. We have areas that pay for their riders. We have areas that may pay the entry fee. We have areas that just rub it, say you can go. So there's a vast range in New Zealand Pony Club. There's doesn't seem to be the standardization of that of sending teams anymore, because it depends on your funds and what you can do. So yeah.
Just
Lizzie,
going
can
back
I?
to me. Oh, sorry. You go.
Yes, go Todd.
I was just going to come back to what we're sort of talking about around the structure. Are we committed to a certain number of areas through the country, or is that?
No. Well, we're currently 15 areas, but if say there was an area that needed to split, we'd have those discussions and go, yeah, we can understand that. So there's been some suggestions like the new area potentially of being, or actually going back. There was someone said, oh, Gisborne Wairoa, they're really strong at the moment. Why are they no longer by themselves? Because they used to be Gisborne Wairoa and Hawke's Bay. Or, splitting like Manawatu West Coast, not you are Manawatu West Coast, Melbourne Nelson West Coast, Otago Southland, massive areas. So we are definitely open to discussions on the areas.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, probably, I think some sort of clarity of name with that West Coast clash is probably a good time to
Revisit that.
sort that out and revisit that area. And unfortunately, our regional council is called Horizons, which doesn't really nail us down to anywhere either. So, but there is some thought needs to be put into that, I would say.
Absolutely. Ashburton, South Canterbury, North Otago are sick of people getting their name wrong, especially me. Ashcon. So they're wanting to change their name to Aoraki, which is the mountain area that they're from. So they're asking no matter what for a name change to reflect that versus Ashburton, South Canterbury, North Otago, which we can't even put on the flag. It just says Ashcon.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
absolutely open to that. And that's what I mean, like in King Country, that Central Plateau region, people have said, and King Country is open to it. They're like, we'd love more riders. They'd love you guys, or they'd like to come to you. That they know, but they're a great area and they're doing amazing things, and they have meetings and they send teams or they send riders. That they're open to their riders being part of more teams and that as well. So yeah, it's time to chat.
Does NZPCA or the board have any guidance on how clubs can make that decision of where they want to go? Like, do they want to become an area themselves? Like, is there any guidance for that? Is there a threshold we'd need to meet?
So as of today, no, because first of all, we're trying to decide if this is something that you guys want. We don't want to put, it's only June, so June's only around the corner. Our meeting's next week, next Thursday, and as soon as we know if this is what the membership likes, we have a really in-depth plan of getting that guidance out and everything and all the resources supporting it. So great question, Alice, but at this stage, no, because it's quite conceptual and we wanted that consultation. We didn't want to be down there kind of putting all this documentation out and coming to you and going, oh, we're considering this idea, this is a proposal, and having all the resources, because it might be seen as a, not a listening opportunity and a consultation opportunity.
Engagement.
Yeah, but one thing is definite, from all of these meetings, I must say, I've noticed that every area is so different. And, maybe there needs to be some clarity of what areas do, what clubs do, and what branches do, and things like that as we go through.
And it's important to probably think about the roles and the function of of the clubs, and also that administrative layer, whatever it's going to be called, because that also guides the decision that everyone has to make, basically.
And it affects your voting numbers as well, the membership.
Yeah, because that's actually really interesting. So I'm just jump here. Because currently for voting, and it's only AGM voting, so quite minimal, but Horowhenua here has 3 votes total as a club, because a club only gets the maximum number of votes is 3 votes if you're over 50. But Kapiti by itself would have 1 vote, Levin would have 2 votes, Motel would have 1 vote, Otaki would have 1 vote, Waikanai would have 1 vote. If you were going for a club system versus 3, if you're into manipulating of those numbers for voting rights. So it really depends. That's at a national level, but so it might not actually mean anything, but it did last year when I was working with last year's Champs host. We had to have an area meeting to make an urgent decision. And it was based on their voting rights, how many votes they got. All of them were clubs without branches apart from 1. So all of the clubs without branches all got their voting rights, 1, 2, 3. And then this massive club only got 3 votes. And they were like, that's really unfair. It's like, I'm sorry, but that's the way voting goes. So it might not mean anything to you, but it's just an interesting point. Yeah, but we are looking at the voting as well. No matter what, we'll look at the voting as being more of an electoral college vote. Is it each member gets 1 vote, and if you've got 100 members, you get 100 votes, but no one could have more than 10% of the vote. Yeah. So lots and lots of really cool questions coming out of that. And this is what I'm loving about these engagements, because Now Alice has given me another idea. Louise has given me another idea for a conference. It's just like, oh, my brain. Okay, so as we said, if there's no more questions, I've got a few more things to show you, and this floor in my daughter's house is really uncomfortable. We're in the consultation phase. It's all feedback from our memberships, and it's really important. I'm going to show you where the feedback is. So if you want to do it before I can send you out the survey, you're most welcome, and it will help shape the final version. And as I said, that vote is going to be part of the AGM. Like, I really hope people will come to the AGM, but you might not be able to, and if you can't, you can proxy vote. So all our resourcing, we're trying to make our website a one-stop shop. More features adding all the time. We'd love feedback. We've got but under resources and constitutions, we've got all the constitution information. Now, I know that Louise has been listening to all of the YouTubes on her way to school. I listened to my first one today, Louise. I was like, oh.
Some interesting ones.
Yep. So Manawatu West Coast, your recording will be under there. It may be first thing tomorrow morning. It may not. I'm actually on annual leave tomorrow. Thanks to coaches conferences. So it will be there. But you can go back and listen to any of them. This is where you're invited to take the survey, and I will send a link to it, but you're most welcome to go there first. It can be, you don't have to put, oh, sorry, I don't know why that's come up with someone's name. That's odd. I'll get out of there. How's that happened? Someone's changed it. Oh, that's really interesting.
You have to say what your name is.
Yeah, it's meant to say
It's
your
meant
name.
to be the question.
Yeah, don't know how that's happened. I'll have to go and have a look at the settings. Okay. Then we've got our areas and what you think. So we'll go and have a look. You can go there and what you think and any questions in there. Also, we've got all of the previous introductions, because the Constitution is not just about the layers. There are other proposals for change. And one of the main ones, and we need feedback on this as well, is that currently a leftover from the committees of management, we still have a presidential role. They don't have any powers on the board or committee, but it's a figurehead, and that's David from your area. Does a great job. His term is coming to an end. It's a 3-year term, and they're looking instead that the CE, myself, is the main national officer. There is some feedback that, you know, is that impartial? Am I impartial? So if you don't like the idea of losing the president and moving to a New Zealand-based patron, we've got 2 patrons now. We've got Mark Todd and Janelle Price. We're not saying we'd get rid of either of those, but we want to add a local patron as well to go to Springston and come to events and hand out rosettes. We've also got the disputes process that we're trying to make clearer in line with the Sports NZ best practices. So there are also things you can comment about in the survey. And then if you're really interested and you want to come to conference, of course you want to come to conference, spend time with us, and that's where the vote will be. The conference registration is here. It is over 3 days. It is going to be practical. You're going to walk away with it with so many practical ideas and lots of learning. If you need to do a funding application, I can write you a really good letter to say what conference will do for you. So that's where all the information is on that. So basically what we need from you is to share, to discuss, and to do that survey.
Lizzie, can I just ask if we can't make it to conference, like our club was struggling to find a delegate just because of the time of year, and we have a lot of farming families and that to get away. How do we go about doing the electronic voting? Is that just done through the email? Like, will you email out the information or?
So I will do exactly that. We will be sending you the electronic voting form, and as the returning officer, you have to get it back to me in so many hours on a set date,
Or whether-
like I think
yeah.
it's 48 hours. So absolutely, we understand that completely, that has to happen.
Okay, cool. That's great. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, and you're most welcome to stay here and chat with me, or any other questions, you're also willing. I'm also able to take your phone calls and everything like that.
Maybe Lizzie, just before
Probably
we
a
finish,
question. Oh, so no, you go, Louise, because you're going to say
well,
it.
I was just going to say, like, Manawatu West Coast would become not incorporated. Can you just clarify that? Like, would we, like now Manawatu West Coast as a area is incorporated?
It depends
If
what
we have to
model
go-
you go for.
Okay.
So
So
if
it's just
you,
about where that money, just for our AGM's coming up, so it'd just be good to know where we would need to talk about money.
your options would be that Manawatu West Coast stays as your administrative layer, and then underneath you decide if branches are becoming clubs, or clubs are going to be like they are and the branches being venues. So, one committee below that. So only, if you think about it, only 2 committees. So you could stay as Manawatu West Coast and then have your clubs stay like they are and your current branches being venues. Or you could have some of your clubs stay like they are, but some of them go independently by themselves. So in Dina's situation, she's in Hamilton. 3 of the Hamilton clubs are considering becoming a venues of Hamilton, and one of them is considering going by themselves. They're massive.
So that was my question to probably the other Manawatu West Coast, kind of, all of us here. What's our next step? Like, is it something that gets covered at the Manawatu West Coast AGM? Like, do we need lots of us there?
So
how do
I
we
think,
actually move forward to give that feedback? Like, it's all good if we go and give our separate feedback, but sort of as an area we need to.
No, so we want your separate feedback. Now, we don't need, we just need to know separately how you're feeling, because we need to know, because of course your separate people then influence your club and they influence your area. So we have a number in our mind that we have to get to know that separately, that we've done all the maths in the background of what we're prepared, what our number is, so what our percentage is. So we just need to know separately if you support this idea, because that will give us an idea of your area. Because separately, if 10 of your members are for it, then that would be reflected in what you're going for at your club and area meeting. So just separately at this stage is fine, because we know to go and collect your branch view and your area view and do a mock vote takes that time, and we don't want you to have to run around and go and get that. We're prepared, because we've got a meeting next week. We just need to have that base indication. Are we on the right track as a membership? So you guys actually can start thinking about it collectively, but I wouldn't even be going and having a big conversation until we come to you and say, yeah, the membership has said, let's go 3 layers, or no, let's stay with 4. And then it's those discussions. So you can do this anytime. So even if we decided, no, we're going to stick as status quo because that's what the membership is wanting, so, that could happen. The membership say we're sticking with status quo. You can still at any time go, actually, like Wanganui Petrie did, we're going to join together and we're going to be a club in our own right. Or one of the Horowhenua ones could go, we're going to come and be a club in our own right. It happened in Cambridge. Pairanga Pony Club decided it wanted to go by itself. It moved out and became a club in its own right. It does happen all the time currently. And we've just opened that conversation that if your club goes, oh, actually, there's a massive new road now and it's actually closer for me to be in that area there, like in the Auckland clubs, can we move to Auckland? And we start that conversation with them in Auckland. So at this stage, it's great to have that conversation and go, what could we do with our clubs and our areas and all of that? But we don't need your formalised idea until probably, we'll let you know the survey results and what we're doing very, very soon.
Alice has got a question.
Oh, it was my question.
Oh, sorry,
It's
Kate.
about committee. So if we go to Manawatu West Coast as the middle layer, and then have our constitution and things there, we'll have a committee there. Is that structure going to be, will there be like a constitution from NZPCA that comes down to that layer that will be quite specific on what roles we have? Because roles like district commissioner that currently exist at club level, then that's quite a big job if it's at area level, but then at the same time you kind of need a person like that at that position. So, you know, and then coaching and head coach and coaching committees and things, because it would be a much bigger role, I think, if we took out those clubs and had, like in one of your diagrams, all of the branches become clubs essentially under Manawatu West Coast, then, which is cool, but then like it just means you've got like a bigger committee in the middle layer probably. And is there any, do we know what that committee is going to look like? Is that going to vary a lot between the middle layers, or will that be constitutionally kind of come down through the PCA?
It will be constitutionally directed,
So it'll be
and
like a president and a this and a that and a head coach and a secretary and so on. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're absolutely correct. We still need, we are looking at rewriting all the general regs, and the event regs will be, the event regulations will be directed by the technical and events team. The coaching ones will be directed by E&D, the health and safety, by health and safety working group. So you're on that one, Kate, and it will be directed there, but at the end of the day, the board gets the sign off of all of those. But, you know, you still need a person to sign off currently for certificates. And I guess it goes back to the fact that at your branch level, yes, that's not being done. It's being done at your club level. But the question is to Wanganui Petrie, who changed from branches to the club level, you know, did they find it any different than what they were currently doing at the branch, apart from one person got to, the word's being used, power, have more power to sign off things and things like that. I don't like that word because, you know, it depends on what support networks we put in place.
Tanya, you've got a question?
Yeah, can you hear me? It was around the finances, and it's loud and clear that if any one of those levels goes, that the money will go, you know, be split between, or agreed to be on dispersed. But where there is a fund or a gifted amount that was tucked away in term deposit from, I don't know where it came from, it's been there, and we've only ever used the interest, how would that be handled?
So if Manawatu West Coast stayed as Manawatu West Coast, you'd keep that term deposit bequest fund currently as it is. If Manawatu West Coast went down, you'd have to somehow grandfather a clause either downwards to one of your clubs to manage. And this has actually happened just now in Bay of Plenty as well. They've been gifted some money to support tūrangi riders, and it's like yours, it's got the clear parameters of what it's used for. If it didn't want to be handled at that level, we don't want to, you know, there's always the opportunities that you could have trustees, and if you haven't got the bank account to put it in, then we could, you know, work with you in a bank account. But I'd rather it stay within the area than coming up to New Zealand Pony Club in a separate trust. So when money is dispersed, like we've just got the tūrangi money, we haven't dispersed it all yet because we're waiting for one or two bank accounts. It's sitting in a separate account to the side with a trustee attached to it. So it can't be used for anything. It's got trustees. So you'd probably do similar in your Manawatu bank account, or you could say it's going to go down to one of those sub-area bank accounts with the same type of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
But remembering, now this is interesting, because I know we're not ESNZ, but ESNZ doesn't run on an incorporate, everyone has to be an incorporated structure. So Tauranga show jumping is incorporated. It can go for funding applications. Tauranga dressage is not incorporated. It can get donations, but it can run as many events as it wants, and it can still have a bank account. So there's always those options too, that you've got a bank account, that all these different trustees are part of sitting over here. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any more questions?
And I fixed the form.
Yeah.
So we'd love your feedback, and we'd love it as soon as you possibly can give it to us, because that will just inform the board of how our general members are feeling. Like, how are you guys, our most important people, how you are feeling? Because without you, Pony Club wouldn't be what it is. It's a massive volunteer organisation. Emma.
Hi. Hey, so I listened to a one of the meetings the other night, and so my understanding is that moving forward we don't have to have a president, we don't have to have a secretary. We could change those roles to support the club. Is that right, or am I? No, you have to have a president, but you may not have to have a secretary or a treasurer.
No,
No, sorry.
So we'd still be coming down and saying what roles form in your committee.
Yeah.
Currently, the president cannot be the DC.
Yeah.
The only shared position in Pony Club, currently constitutional, in the constitution, and it's not happening, and we've seen this, is that the only shared role is currently the secretary and treasurer is the only shared role in Pony Club, because there's got to be independence between the head coach and the DC, because they both sign off things. And actually we often see that the DC is the head coach in some of our things that we see, and we just kind of come and go, hey, just so you're aware, but that's because they haven't got people to fill the jobs.
Yeah. Okay.
They haven't got people to fill the jobs. But when you think of it, you need 2 independent people to be the head coach in the DC when you're signing off for dispensations, or you're signing off for certificates. So there still will be the roles. You'll still need someone to be the treasurer. Our board doesn't operate with a secretary. That's me. We don't operate with a treasurer, but they're at a higher organisation level, because we have an accountant, we have a board chair, but we have working committees and we have people in charge of different sectors on their board.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I think it is a little bit confusing as well, Emma, because in the new act, it's officers, and some constitutions, those officers don't have to be defined. But in many sporting constitutions, they are defined, because then they can be the president, secretary, head coach, so and so. So yeah.
Thanks for that. Thanks, Kelly.
Why can I Pony Club, which is Mr. David there. Hello, Mr. David.
Hi.
Sorry I didn't call you back.
That's all right. That's okay. All well?
Broken ribs.
Oh. What did you do?
Not me.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, thank you.
So my question is that I'm thinking I need to go home and put an email together to my members with some information about what we learned, I've learned today. Is there a resource, like, can I have a couple of those slides that you showed me with the sort of examples about what it might look like and the sort of what the detail around the administrative layer is?
I'm going to share you these slides tomorrow and the minutes, and I have to even go one step ahead of you. I've already sent out to every single current adult of the Manawatu West Coast community. So I've been doing it area by area. So every single person who's a current active member should have got an email from me on Monday about this meeting, and they will also all get the slides and the link and the survey link and the minutes. Now, my emails are only as good as the emails that are in the database. So I do have 20, times that pop back to me, or people aren't checking and things. So I have a big, massive plea to say to you members, can you tell us if your emails changed? Because I often get back from people, No, that's not my email. I haven't checked that email for 10 years. It's like, well, that email will have probably about 100 emails from me in there, or their spam and things like that. So, yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'd love you to share. Share. Get them out there more and more and more. But it will be probably tomorrow morning. It won't be tonight.
Louise, will you be putting it on the Manawatu West Coast Facebook page at all? That way it'll be
Yeah, I can share the link in the morning and just I'll continue to promote it. So,
Go and look at
the
also
easiest way.
our Facebook page is, and Louise has been sharing it as well, has the survey link on there as well. We've been doing those posts as well, but yeah, we've been doing posts and saying things like, you know, have you checked out this page and this page? So if you're not following our Pony Club page, please do, or go and check it out, because we've got lots of posts there. Here it is. Here, I'll share this again. But please do have a look. So there, it's got the link there. It's got the link of the survey. It's all there. It's not a fancy Canva post, not like this one. Like when we've got a team in China at the moment. So some people also think I'm currently in China. I'm definitely not. I'm in Hamilton tonight. Yeah, so please take a look at our page, and then Louise will share as well.
Cool.
But for us, if you can, get that survey in the next few days, because the board is meeting next Thursday in Auckland, and they need to know what direction and what are our next steps. But we've loved this. We've loved coming into your wardrobes, your kitchens, your farms. We've loved it because, you know, we're here. We've all got the same want of seeing Pony Club thrive.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lizzie.
You're welcome. I'll get those slides to you first thing in the morning, and
Thank you.
the slides. So thanks everyone. But
Thank
please
you.
do send us
Thanks,
messages.
Thank you.
And we'll see
Bye,
you later.
everyone. Thanks for
Thank you.
Thanks
coming.
everyone. See some of you at Coaches Conference.
Yep.
Yeah, see you on
Yeah.
Friday. See you on Friday, dude.
It was so good. Coaches Conference was amazing. It was the best ever. Loved it.
Same weather, please.